Hello there everybody and welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe if you are new. I hope you are having an incredible day. So, as you may have heard, the infrastructure bill, I believe it was 2 days ago, passed in the Senate and it will likely pass in the House. The Republicans, or at least Republicans with spines, are going to try to stop it, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. So unfortunately, it looks like the Senate bill will pass, but the reconciliation bill is the one I am personally more concerned about, and that is because it offers amnesty for illegal immigrants. Now, as someone who has grown up in suburban, white working class, semi-rural, semi-suburban Ohio, I have seen the effects of immigration on American workers. Everywhere you go where I live, there's factories that are closed down, plants that are closed down, and I've seen how much it can hurt the working and middle class. So, that is why I am very much anti-immigration. Legal immigration and immigration itself have very little difference in between the two. It just one you walk through the door, one you jump over the fence. That said, I do support some types of legal immigration, um, but I feel like there should certainly be immigration. We just need to really scale it back, especially when they're taking our jobs. But anyway, that's besides the point. That's my little rant. Anyway, as you saw by the title, we are doing the 2024 election if there is amnesty passed. So, it's going to be between Trump and Biden. Um, I'm looking at the illegal immigrants and the demographics and the trends of every state. And I'm going to fill in if they all, not all of them, but if they could vote. So there would still be quite a few safe Republican states for Trump. A lot of these states actually do not have quite the large amount of illegal immigrants. Utah has a sizable amount, but not like crap ton. But they do have a sizable amount. Um, I don't think it would affect the results. Same with Alaska. There's like barely even a 5,000, so I don't think Alaska would be affected. Nebraska, there is a sizable amount in Nebraska I was surprised about, but still compared to, it's just such a red state, it wouldn't have much of an effect. Um, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, the Deep South, there's a decent amount of immigrants in the Deep South, like 60,000, but still a lot, it would just make it it'd make the states a point or two closer. The one good thing for the GOP would that they would pretty much guarantee Ohio and Iowa as safe red states, because if they ran on, oh, Biden did this and Biden gave immigration amnesty, they would certainly, I guarantee you, win a lot of Ohio and Iowa and the white working class vote by even huger margins. They would be like, yeah, they'd destroy. The Democrats would have quite a few safe states as well: Hawaii, California, Oregon, and Washington. It'd pretty much cement Oregon and Washington if they weren't already cemented as safe blue states. Amnesty would pretty much cement them as even safer blue states, because there's roughly 300,000 illegal immigrants in both states. New Mexico and Colorado would both be safe, probably each swing about 4 or 5 points to the right. Virginia, all of the Northeast. I was surprised how many immigrants are in a lot of these northeastern states. So really, our hopes of possibly winning in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, maybe even New Jersey, those would be wiped off the table. Virginia, Glenn Youngkin would not have a chance, and of course Illinois. So with that, we have 208 pretty much solid electoral votes for Joe Biden. This is the worst the Democrats could do, was 208 electoral votes. So there are some likely states for Donald Trump, and those include the states of Missouri and Kansas and South Carolina. Um, I was surprised there was actually a sizable amount of illegal immigrants in South Carolina, and I do think that the reason that South Carolina was already much closer than a lot of these states, so I'm going to put it as likely. I think it would still be a pretty solid red state, maybe go to by R plus 8, R plus 9, but it would just barely be under the 10-point threshold to be in the likely column. Missouri and Kansas both have sizable amounts of illegal immigrants. I could maybe see put Missouri as safe. I don't know. It really would depend on turnout, whether it be safe or likely. I'm gonna put it in safe actually, because I think I don't really know how to explain. Missouri has a sizable amount of illegal immigrants, but Kansas actually has a lot more than you would think. Kansas has a sizable amount, and with the trends, Kansas would probably be red by about 8 or 9 points. And I still think it would stay red, but it would just be by a much closer margin, probably just under 10. So with that, the likely states for Joe Biden include the states of Minnesota, New Hampshire, Maine District 1, Maine at large, we'll get back to, and Nevada and Arizona. Now Nevada and Arizona, believe it or not, have obviously you would probably expect them to have sizable amounts of illegal immigrants, but they have much more than you would probably think. Nevada has 210,000 illegal immigrants, so if they turned out heavily, it would probably just barely be likely, probably about 5 points. Arizona, though, has way more, I believe. Arizona has 275,000, so just a little bit more, but still 275,000 more votes pretty much automatically guaranteed for Biden does put it narrowly in the likely column. They'd both probably be just above 5,000, just above 5 points. The Republicans would have one other likely, I forgot to mention, that would be in the Maine's 2nd district, and Maine at large would be much closer, but yeah, Maine's 2nd district would be likely. Lean states for the Democrats include Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, and probably Maine at large. Maine at large would probably go blue by about 3 points because there are a lot of white working class voters who would be pretty aggravated over Amnesty, but that's besides the point. Heading south, North Carolina, I was surprised, has a lot of illegal immigrants, and I mean a lot. So, in a state that's already pretty much R+1, it'd pretty much be D+1, D+2. In a huge red wave year, I could see the Republicans flipping North Carolina, but in your average election, that's not like 2016 or 1984 or 1980, unless it's pretty much a red wave year, it's pretty much going to be how North Carolina is going to be how it is for the Republicans now, but for the Democrats, so narrowly Democrat, because the 200,000 illegal immigrants are going to barely put them over the threshold. Georgia would almost be likely. They have a lot of illegal immigrants in Georgia. With the state's trends, I feel like after 2024, just woke up. 2024 would be in Georgia. Georgia would be probably pretty much be likely. Texas actually has over 1 million illegal immigrants, so it would be lean to, if not likely, similar to Georgia. If the legal immigrants are given amnesty, Texas would probably be a lean to likely blue state, just like that overnight. So we have the Rust Belt and Florida. The one tilt state for the Republicans that I can say for sure would be in Florida. Trump. There are a lot of illegal immigrants in Florida, but Florida is trending to the right, and those illegal immigrants, from what I've read, would probably vote a little bit more red than their counterparts. So Florida will probably revert back to like 2016 margins and narrow Republican victory. So it pretty much undo all the gains Trump made in 2020, revert Florida back to 2016 margins, but in 2024, and then it would slowly continue to move right if trends continue. If trends don't continue, then I could see it going pretty much being tilt to lean Democrat, similar to North Carolina, and maybe even just being a swing state again. I'm not really sure. I do think that Trump would turn out the white working class vote in the Panhandle. So even if the Hispanic trends do not continue, I do think the Republicans would still have a shot in Florida, unlike Texas or North Carolina, just because trends, demographics, and yeah. Looking at the Rust Belt, these are tricky states to predict. Both Michigan and Pennsylvania, believe it or not, have roughly 200 to 300,000 illegal immigrants. So if they turned out to vote, even with white working class trends, they would both be lean Democrat. Now, I do feel like Republicans would certainly have a shot in the two states. It would just kind of delay the realignment in the Rust Belt by another 10 years or so. Pennsylvania and Michigan would likely go Democrat in 2024 and 2028 by very thin margins. But in 2032, 2036, I could see them flipping Republican. It would pretty much, the elite giving amnesty would just delay the process, because there is a sizable amount of illegal immigrants. But if the Democrats did that, then they would also lose a lot of white working class support. So it would kind of even out to very slim Democratic margins. That, like I said, there's really not enough data, because there's not a lot. It's very difficult to get an accurate count in both states, but there are a lot of illegal immigrants in there, especially compared to Ohio, Iowa, states like that. So, which surprised me, but still is true. So I think Pennsylvania and Michigan would be lean Democratic states, but they would eventually go right. It would just kind of delay the realignment. Wisconsin would be very interesting. Wisconsin does not have a heck of a lot. They have a sizable amount of illegal immigrants, but not a lot. They have 75,000. Um, and with the white working class, pretty much, I would expect huge Republican trends in the all of the rural white working class. Expect there to be practically no Democrats in the rural parts of Iowa, Wisconsin, the Rust Belt. That said, I do think the illegal immigrant trends would just barely be enough to keep Wisconsin in a tilt blue state, just because 75,000 votes is a lot to make up, even with the rural trends. And so I think Biden would probably do very narrowly win Wisconsin, similar to 2020 margins, just in 2024. Um, so yeah, Wisconsin is, like I said, the Rust Belt's very difficult to judge because it would really just depend on turnout. If the white working class vote was really that angry with Biden and they turned out in huge margins, then all those states would probably be tilt to lean red. But if they don't turn out and the illegal immigrants turn out, then both states would probably be lean to tilt Democrat. So with that, this is the 2024 election. If Joe Biden gives out amnesty, as you can see, it would be the nail in the coffin for the Republican Party. They would need a crazy electorate, and they need to pretty much cave on immigration. Maybe not even cave on immigration. I don't even know what they could do, because a lot of the votes they're gaining are Hispanics who are a lot of the states, a lot of the vote that's keeping Florida close, keeping Texas not being likely, keeping Florida and Texas even close is Hispanics who are socially conservative. So the Republicans would be screwed because they would have to decide whether they want to appeal to this brand new voting bloc or whether they want to keep the voting bloc they're getting. So I feel like this would be the nail in the coffin for the GOP, but maybe a few years down the road, actually, the Republicans could gain enough support in the Rust Belt to become competitive again, but really for 10, 20 years, there's not going to be a Republican president if amnesty is passed. So with that, write to your congressmen, write to your senators, tell them not to pass amnesty or the reconciliation bill, because we're screwed if that passes. Like, I'm sorry, I can't find a single good thing that comes out of amnesty for the for people in general in Ohio and Iowa and the Rust Belt, the working class people, or the Republican Party in general. So with that, I know this is kind of a black pill, but I do appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.